Good day and welcome back to a chapter a day. We are moving on. We are in Exodus chapter 2. And like I said yesterday, I thought of just giving the review for that chapter the same day. Right after that I read the chapter, I give the review. So I'm just going to thank again the viewers for the channel, and I continue to pray that somebody be blessed or inspired by whatever is heard from the readings. So we're going right into Exodus chapter 2. It is February the 22nd. Yes. And well, on we go. Here we go, Exodus chapter 2. And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off, to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, This is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses, and she said, Because I drew him out of the water. And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian, and hid him in the sand. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to them that did the wrong, Wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, Who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me as thou killest the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, Surely this thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh, and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them, and watered their flock. And when they came to Reuel their father, he said, How is it that you are come so soon today? And they said, An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock. And he said unto his daughters, And where is he? Why is it that you have left the man? Call him, that he may eat bread. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. And it came to pass in process of time, that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried. And their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. And that's the end of the reading for Exodus chapter 2. I know I'm going to be saying Genesis, so forgive me if you hear Genesis anytime forward. And you see that I already did the recap for Genesis. So I know my mind is just going to be still thinking Genesis. So we are in Exodus. So to recap what we just read for chapter 2 of Exodus. Joseph has died. His brethren now are a generation gone, so that means all his brothers, maybe their children or their grandchildren, are now the ones who have taken place as the adults. And the Egyptians are fearing that the Israelites are, I'm kind of including some things from chapter 1. The Egyptians are fearing that the Israelites are going to outnumber them and maybe join in a war, make war against them, the Egyptians. So they enslave them, and they're trying to make their lives as hard as ever. Pharaoh gave a command to kill all the male children that are born. The midwives did not honor it. And now we see in chapter 2 that there's a Hebrew, that, a Hebrew Israelite. I think they're all synonymous titles for God's people. This woman of the tribe of Levi, she has conceived. She saw that her babe, her son, I mean, honest to goodness, that's a hard thing for any mother to kill her child. That's why I don't want to get political, but women who are legally killing their children are still illegally doing so. God said, thou shalt not kill. So regardless of how you see the government says, there's a government in heaven that is above the government on earth. And God said, thou shalt not kill. That's a life. And this mother decided she is not playing that. She hid her baby, and it was found by Pharaoh's daughter. Now, I'm telling you, God sets things up. So when people think my life is so hard, I have to do this wrong thing in order for me to go on and get my life together. No, you don't have to do wrong at all. If you're trusting in God, you trust in God. Know God and trust in God. God makes things right every time. He will forgive the sin. You will still have the consequences of it, but God will make it right. And this is no sin here to go against killing your child. So he is put into a basket with bulrushes, which is some type of plant or leaves to protect the water from coming inside. But he's crying. He's a baby. But Pharaoh's daughter spots the basket and sends her maids, who draw the basket out. There's the baby. Now, the little girl, we're going to learn later on who she is. And the nurse, we're going to learn later on who she is. So we won't go into that. So it's exactly, she's calling the child's mother, the nurse who happens to be the child's mother, to take care of it. So we're going to find out who the little girl was. She's getting paid, the mother is getting paid to take care of her own son. Pharaoh's daughter, I don't think maybe is aware of that, but that's okay. This is God's doing. And after she nursed the child, she brings it back to Pharaoh's house for Pharaoh's daughter, and it becomes like her adopted son, Pharaoh's daughter's adopted son. So like Pharaoh's adopted grandson. And she names him Moses. You're going to be hearing that name quite a lot in this book of Exodus. And I would think while he was growing up with his nurse, aka his mother, she was telling him who he was, and and giving him the doctrines also of her people, or his people too. And Moses had maybe a heart for his people, who were the Hebrews. And when he saw that an Egyptian was ill-treating one of his people, the Hebrews, and I believe everyone knew in the palace that he was adopted. He was found, and Pharaoh's daughter kept him. So he was not an Egyptian. He was actually a Hebrew. But he was growing up as an Egyptian, but he knew. That's why they always say, don't forget where you're from. He knows who he is. So he thinks, well, in his righteous indignation, that he killed the Egyptian. But sometimes, you know what? Your greatest enemies are your brethren. Yeah, the ones who saw you do it, you think you're doing them a favor, and half the time they don't have your best interest at heart. Maybe they were even hating on him. Look at you growing up like this, well-to-do. You think you're better than us. You know, that kind of nonsense, because you're growing up as an Egyptian. So he decided, you know what, I got something on you. What, you think you're going to slay me like you slayed the Egyptian? That kind of scared Moses. He was like, oh my gosh, people know what I did. So you know what? Word got around. Must be from the same Hebrew. He was trying to part the two Hebrews fighting, telling them, don't fight your brethren. But you know what? I guess wrong is wrong. He did kill. Like God said, thou shalt not kill. And Pharaoh heard of it, and he had to get going. So he runs away. He goes to a place called Midian. Now the Midianites are some sort of extended relatives of the Israelites through generation, through coming down the line of genealogies. And these 7 girls, these shepherdesses, maybe had a hard time with maybe some other shepherds who were bothering them at the well. So Moses kind of intervened, and he helped them to water their flocks, and they were able to get back home. A much earlier time, I guess their father recognized that, oh, y'all are back already. So they told him about the man who helped them out. So he said, where's the man? You left the man behind after he helped you out? Call him. Let him come eat. Let's, at least thank him or something. So Moses came in, and he felt like, he was settled to stay with this family. And eventually he married the eldest daughter, Zipporah. She had a son for him. We've never really heard much of his son. I don't think his line was of any thing that we heard about. But anyway, in time, the people of Israel were crying out to God because the Egyptians were making their lives really, really hard. And God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And God, as they said, had respect unto them. So we're going to see where this goes from here. And that's the end of our reading and our recap of Exodus chapter 2. Thank you for listening again. I pray that you all have a wonderful day, blessed day, and until our next reading, you all take care. Bye.